Hello everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. We've got a really cool interview here today with a company and project called ReMeLife, very much orientating around care to earn. Guys, we'll be talking about this with Simon Hooper, who has kindly agreed to come onto the channel and discuss this project in a bit more detail. It's absolutely fascinating. There's some really cool aspects to it. And certainly it's very interesting to me because I absolutely love projects that really help and care for the world and try and improve the world as well. So you're going to get a bit of an ethos around that as we go through this interview as well. So keep your eyes and ears open for this one. Let's go straight into it and let's welcome Simon Hooper to the channel. Welcome to the channel. Of course, we've been speaking for some time now, so I'm really looking forward to introducing the Whales of Wall Street audience to yourself and your project. So if you wouldn't mind just doing a quick intro about yourself and of course the project behind you. Really excited about this one. So welcome, Simon.
Thank you for inviting me onto the show. 2 Simons for the price of 1. I'm not sure if that's legal, but there we go. Yeah, I mean, there is quite a backstory to this. In terms of myself, my background is technology. I was in the evil oil industry for quite a while as a geologist. Been through a varied career, varied experiences and so forth, but it kind of culminated with my mother becoming paralyzed due to NHS error. And I watched carers struggle to engage with her. They couldn't even remember her name when they went in the room. So I started in healthcare, having migrated from a very different field, on the basis of creating an app that would help carers know my mother's life story. And it worked really well. I mean, literally within 4 or 5 days of them looking at my mother's life story on a tablet, no longer were they forgetting her name, they were wheeling her down to pub, and literally she was off her meds and on the gin. And that was a win-win in my view. So it kind of went from there over the years to being ready for quite a scale launch just before COVID lockdown with our partners, big partners. So we built an app that was for the care home sector that was were looking very good. And then lockdown destroyed everything. Now, along those intervening years, I'd been obviously very interested in crypto and blockchain and all that good stuff. So after lockdown happened and the business literally went splat, no revenue. After I sobered up, I had my road to Damascus moment, which was why not put a crypto layer on top? So, and that's what I did. So the background to this project is really trying to bring new tech always into what used to be, but is less so now, the Luddite world of care. Because care gets a raw deal. Carers get a raw deal. Families get a raw deal. We all get a raw deal, really, quite frankly, when it comes to what we do. So that's our mission, basically, to bring tech into care.
Oh, that's awesome. I guess, why do you feel, or like, how do you feel like the Web3 space can enhance that particular area? Because I know quite a few people in the care industry and sector, and certainly actually ironically some people that work in the Web3 side of that as well, trying to integrate that. What do you think is like the importance of this technology application? How do you think it will enhance that and improve not just lives but the whole kind of framework system of the sector itself?
One's got to be careful to follow that old adage of, is there a problem there to be resolved, so to speak, as opposed just to building stuff and then trying to put a square peg into a round hole. So the key problems in care, one always defines as, achieving engagement between the carer and the person, knowing the person and so on and so forth. And that's what I was doing, building apps that address that. But I knew all along intuitively and actually personally, I'm not wealthy, but actually at the bottom of care, the biggest problem is money. If you've got money, you've got time to get to know the person. If you've got money, life becomes and care becomes much easier. So when I had my crypto road to Damascus moment, I realized that if you can solve the financial issue when it comes to care, you're going to improve care. You need to. Carers need to be paid more. They need to be incentivized and rewarded. So to answer your question, I looked at how the world that I was interested in other words, crypto and blockchain and so forth, could impact on achieving revenue. All carers, including myself, my mother, and so forth, are all using digital tech. And all that digital tech does is harvest data and send it into Zuckerberg's pockets. So the first thing I looked at was how to reclaim that data. And I wasn't alone in doing that, obviously. But then I realized there was many other digital care actions that we call CAPs now, care action points, that you undertake. You're shopping on Amazon all the time. You're doing Zoom meetings. I mean, there's a myriad of apps that you use now to do things. And they have value. They exist, those apps, because they had value. So the logic was that we would build apps and capture the value, leverage and monetize those care actions on those apps and bring it back to our community. And then, you talk Web3, you look at what Web3 is all about. And I don't think it's been properly defined. Is AI in or outside Web3? Is a DAO in or out? I don't know. Whatever. The point is, we decided to build effectively a non-profit charity on the blockchain, which is pretty much a DAO. And, during that, I'll tell you one story. During that lockdown period, I didn't bake any cakes. I just did a lot of research. I researched the financial services sector and what the hell was going on in our, fractionalized banking world. I studied all that and got the shock of my life when I realized that it's one big Ponzi. I studied healthcare, and I went back to the friendly societies of the 1900s and got another shock of my life when I discovered that whilst the Industrial Revolution was raging, a bit like the revolution we're in now is raging, those that were doing the work had a shit time, to put it bluntly. They had little medical care, no insurance, and all the rest. And they got together and created friendly societies. So you'd have a bunch of miners, and a families getting together, taking 5 days of their salary, putting it into a pot, and a bloke in the pub would manage it. And it worked really well. Within 2 years, 35% of the working class across the West was being managed through these friendly societies. It's where the building societies come from. And it was going really well. They suddenly had good healthcare, good insurance, and all the rest. And no crime, no theft, no corruption. Because the bloke who was managing their affairs was sitting in the pub, having organized a discount beer for them. There's kind of, let's put it this way, aligned stakeholder interests. Not in the way of the World Economic Forum, which has a different definition of what aligned stakeholder interests is. I think we all know that. I've certainly had my road to Geneva moment, my road to the World Economic Forum moment, as I think we all do. But that's what I suddenly realized in looking at these friendly societies, that they were DAOs. They were the original DAO, their communities. Yeah. So that was my second moment. And I thought, why not build a DAO? Yeah. So to answer your question, we look at all the Web3 components, whether it's utility NFTs, providing identity and security for our members and giving them an entree into the metaverse. We have we haven't started properly, but we've defined it, a portal to the metaverse. We'll look at all that's available and see how it can benefit our members and generate them a passive income, basically.
That's really interesting. I'm particularly very interested in projects that look to improve the world in some way, and certainly like people's well-being. So this is really interesting project for me to follow. Before we go into like a bit more detail about your team and your partners and everything, I've been wondering. So you've got this blue character on your shoulder, as it looks like visually. What is that? And what's the reasoning behind this, and what does that mascot have to do with this?
Mascot? You've got to be careful. He's got a bad temper. So I'll tell you what happened. Basically, many years ago, you're probably aware of the mysteries as to who built the pyramids and who told Satoshi Nakamoto. It was this lot. These guys from Planet Babazade have been feeding knowledge to our planet for a long time. And he came back to Earth during lockdown to see why blockchain had gone off the rails. I mean, let's take a look at Satoshi Nakamoto's intent. His intent was peer-to-peer for the people. Blockchain for the people, blockchain for good. And it's kind of gone off the rails. I mean, NFTs are fun, don't get me wrong, but it's basically, in my view, blockchain has gone off into big bucks and banking when it should be, helping the unbanked. It should be stabilizing fraudulent voting. I mean, you can go on and on. It's done some good stuff in supply chain and pharma. But so he came back in his spaceship, and I heard that we're one of a few blockchain for good projects. And the silly sod crashed in the park behind me and staggered to my front door, and I met him for the first time, and he's been working with us ever since. He is the avatar in our software. So if you're a carer trying to figure out how to use our software, Bluey is the first resident in care homes. He is the creature. He's donated his services that will guide you how to use our software. But then a while back, when we were struggling to raise money, mythical funding from grants, mythical funding from the whole world that's mythical, although Polygon offered us some funding, he said, why don't we do a meme token? And I thought he was insane. But when we looked at it, you got a couple of dogs and a frog. I mean, what's it all about? And so he's not that keen on dogs. So he thought it's about time to bite the tail of some of those dogs. So 4 weeks ago, literally 4 or 5 weeks ago, we decided to do it. Let's do it. Why not? Because this is a mission that's social impact. It's by the people, for the people. Our team, which we'll talk about, are all over the world. And so we just thought, let's do it. Let's raise some money. Let's have some fun. Let's put him out into the wild. And the other reason for doing it is he's I've got to be careful what I say because he's around here somewhere. But he doesn't really understand what's going on. I mean, who does? Let's be honest. So he asked questions quite amusingly. He was interviewed on the Joe Rogan show a couple of weeks ago. It hasn't gone live yet, but he asked some really interesting, contentious questions. So he's got a bit of a gob on him, and that's going to make it interesting. So basically, he's here to try and achieve some change, and the meme token is going to be the starting point for that. Awesome. To assist ReMeLife go to phase 2, which will be the launch of the blockchain-based ecosystem, but also to bring awareness of the powers of crypto to those who have a wrong opinion of it, basically. So he's going to be a bit of a mouthpiece, a bit of a mouthy mouthpiece.
That's awesome. What's his name?
Bluey.
Awesome. I'm going to come back to him in a second because actually you mentioned a second ago about the team aspect as well. Yeah. How is your project ReMeLife? Like, how does it look in terms of like the infrastructure at the moment, people wise, etc.? I know you mentioned like Bluey is obviously part of that team, which is awesome.
Yeah.
How does that look at the moment?
We have about 32 people on what we call an advisory board. They are some very well-known people, from Jane Thomason, who's one of the world's leaders in blockchain for good. You probably know. There's quite a array of them. We're partners with Consensus, or at least their healthcare vertical, Equidium. We've got a lot of partnerships. We've got second largest insurance company in the world. I can't say who they are, but you can figure that out. They're very keen on working with us. Basically, the model we've spent 2 years building, and this is for ReMeLife, the ecosystem that obviously Bluey is assisting us with. The model is that it's a platform, and the platform provides multiple functionalities from a forum to a marketplace to news. And when you use any of these, to share news with granddad at home, or to go onto a forum and ask, about dementia, or to buy products. When you do any of these, you're rewarded in tokens. So it's a rewards-based ecosystem. And what we're doing is we've launched phase 1 so that the platform is live. You can earn tokens when you join. You'll earn more tokens when you invite friends into your network. So it's very much about community building, as life should be. It's trying to bring people into the community to, engender the community spirit around those being cared for. But you get reward for building that care circle and then that community. So that's all completed, phase 1. And phase 2, which is the launch of the native token on the blockchain, is where our partners come in. So we have some big partners who will take nodes on the proof of authority blockchain and who will do all those good things that proof of authority is about, from staking and rewarding their own communities and so forth. And that obviously takes us towards decentralization. So I don't know if that answers your question, because I've completely forgotten what the question was. But anyway, I hope there was some good stuff in there.
That's great. I guess in terms of like the actual like Bluey token, so this is what we would deem as, I guess, like the meme token, if you like.
Yeah.
Why are you launching that? How does it exactly work?
Yeah, we were going to launch an ICO, and of course, timing is everything. We were about to do that. It was all set up just before Sam Bankman-Fried did what he did, and that's obviously not a good time to launch an ICO. So we withdrew, and then we just focused on building. I mean, we're bootstrapped completely. We are 32 people, each with their own reasons for doing this, whether it's dementia or autism in their families, whether it's the tech interest or blockchain for good. We have a very low overhead. Let's put it that way. We're bootstrapped. We're not, funded by VCs or some of these launch pads and so forth. I decided a long time ago that the world was too unstable to be reliant on others. Let's have this be by the people, for the people. So if you want to support us, you want to help us, climb on board, and just like an open source community, do what you can when you can. So yes, we headed towards an ICO, and then that stopped because of obviously the reasons I've just said. And then we just carried on building as we were able to do. We've structured and planned building the Bluey NFT marketplace. We've got the blockchain ready to be built. We completed the launch of ReMeLife.com with its marketplace. Phase 1 is done. And then, as I say, I had this moment when I thought, why not do? Well, it was his idea, actually, to be honest. He'd been what he did was do what I guess a lot of entities do, which is go onto the internet, just like AI does, ChatGPT, and scout everything.
Yeah.
And the silly sod started off by going through cartoon characters, which is a bit of a disaster, as you can see on our website. But basically, he got down to the nub of things and understood that we live in a very wacky world. Mm-hmm. And if it's wacky, and bearing in mind he's a blue cat, why not capitalize on it? So he said, let's bang out a token, which I thought was crazy at first, but why not?
Yeah.
So to answer your question, the structure of the token is that it is a typical meme token, and it'll go out there and it'll do whatever the hell it wants to do. You can't control it. We have a very wide audience base. So you'd think that because we care, it's just the elderly. It's not. The grandkids are big into this. My sons are big into this, and they are, they're gamers and into crypto and all the rest of the mad stuff. So we believe it will cut across generations. And of course, that is the mission of ReMeLife anyway. It's about, cross-cultural, cross-generational engagement. So it's a classic meme token, but it comes with perks, such as membership of the Bluey VIP Club, which brings access to the premium access, if you like, to the impending launch of our NFT collection, Bluey and Friends, and then also subsequently, and I guess this is the big one, opportunity for the pre-sale, access to the pre-sale of the Remi token, which is the native token in the ReMeLife ecosystem. So it's more than just a pump and dump and have some fun, and which I'm not against, because people should have fun. I don't see much difference with a meme token than betting on the horses or having a bit of fun wherever you do it. Meme tokens are fun, and I think people who I must admit I was disparaging of them at first, but when I did my research, I found out that they are no different from anything else, having a bit of fun. But the edge to the Bluey is we want people to see, A, that it has a good purpose, it's a social impact project, but B, that it has longevity, because you will get access within probably about 6 months to the pre-sale of the Remi token, which is a different beast. It's an ERC20 in all that ecosystem intent, a DAO basically.
That's really interesting. I think, like, for me personally, I'm not a huge advocate of meme coins in the way that you said originally, but to have it as something that raises awareness for a good cause, or something that's really needed in this world, it makes absolute sense to raise that awareness in that capacity. But we're seeing, like, it amazes me still, like, and I know some of them may have utility in the future. You mentioned some of the ones with the dogs on them. We know what that is. That has kind of transpired in the sense that, a load of people made money, a load of people lost money, but like, what on earth is this actually used for? What's the point other than that fluctuation of market and people gaining or losing money, whatever? But actually, this has a real massive opportunity to raise awareness of something good, and I'm all for that. I think this is something that will definitely increase over time. More and more organizations will have that utilization. I do think we've seen snippets of it. Like, I'm a football fan, and I've seen a lot of like fan tokens created, and there's a lot of opportunity in that side of it. And to your point about that kind of almost a DAO aspect to it, certainly from the opportunity to potentially vote for things or be a part of something in that capacity. So I think it's really, really good that you guys are doing that to raise the awareness of the whole entire project.
I mean, you can't really lose, because if you think about those things that are prevalent now, there's that number of businesses whereby you bang in 50 quid and you get a chance to win a £2 million house.
Yeah.
But you know that if you don't win, and you won't win, percentage of that is going to a good charity.
Yeah.
And then the lottery, I mean, I don't know about you, but I've been playing the lottery all my life and I have never even won £5. But I don't mind because I know it's going to a good cause. Yeah. So we are the same. If you do, because there will be, I'd be very surprised if there's not a pump and dump, because that's the nature of the, you know, the mech bots and all the rest of that stuff that goes on. But you're not losing as long as you understand what you're getting into. And I think everyone these days knows what a meme token's all about. But also two things. Number one, it's a good cause because the money's going to go into building phase 2 of ReMeLife. And number two, if you hold, and I think, you know, we all know hodling is to some extent the name of the game. If you hold until we launch the Remi token live, and that'll be on a centralized exchange, whether it's OKX or Binance, then you'll get a chance to have that, maybe the bluey that you've maybe lost money on burst back into life again in a very good cause, but in this time in something that is very different entity. You know, it's the ecosystem which will grow with big partners and all the rest. So it is a bit different, I think, from what has been done, but there are one or two memes out there that are trying to do the same sort of thing that are generally those that are social impact.
Yeah, it's really interesting. The Remi token, you talk about a bit more about that, like how does that work within the system, and also just on the scale of things, you know, where are you guys currently, you know, in terms of the stage or the pathway of the ReMeLife like ecosystem? Like where has it reached? Where has it got to at the moment? And with that,
I mean, I've been around since 2017, and I watched that frothy time, and I didn't think I really wanted to bring a healthcare vulnerable audience into that space at the time. But I like blockchain. I held one of the first conferences in London on blockchain at the Giant event. So I've been around a while in this space and trying to figure it out. And the key to it was building a tokenomics model that didn't have the weaknesses. I mean, didn't have that DeFi weakness of sell pressure, that didn't have the inevitability of failure built in to some extent. I'm not saying all crypto projects are like that, but a lot are. And the other thing is I didn't want to be a white paper wannabe. In other words, put out a plan, raise a load of money, and then try and figure out what the hell to do after the price had collapsed. That's just not my nature. I mean, I'm old school, if you like. In my view, you put a business plan together, you raise some money, and then you raise more step by step by step. So that's what I did. So I built the apps first, but I had to find a way to build them with no money. And that's when a whole head's full of light bulbs went off. And I was always curious by the open source community. Why are these people working for nothing? What the hell are they doing? Yeah. Well, I figured it out. They're doing it for fun, partly, for intellectual stimulation with a community that's like-minded, for a chance to get a CV builder process, and probably a decent job at the end of it, plus fun, because that's probably, so I thought, why not do the same thing? Why not find people who think like me? Yeah. Something's got to change in care. It ain't going to be the politicians that do it because it's not in their interests. Find those who have the tech in their brains to do what needs to be done and would like to deploy it, not just for profit, but for social, etc., etc. There's a whole set of variables. And I was amazed how easily they came. I mean, I had to talk to a lot of people, but, we built up a community of those sort of like-minded people, of, some really high-level people who support us. I mean, let's put it this way. I don't think there are many projects where their lawyers, their regulatory advisors, their marketing team, I'll go back to lawyers, are being paid in tokens. That's unusual. So that's expressive of how much people do care about care. Yes. And how much they do want to participate. So to answer your question, where we are is we can build whatever we need to build whenever we build it, because we haven't got overheads. And we've obviously got to keep the lights on and the hosting and so forth. And we have completed phase 1. So phase 1 being ReMeLife.com, the platform. It's not completely finished. It's got bugs, which you can, when you register, which I hope you'll all do, register on ReMeLife.com, you'll get a wallet. We decided to build a wallet first, a crypto wallet first, because our audience are all sorts. 65% of the world is caring for someone. Sure. But I mean, there's a lot of 18-year-old kids caring for their granddad. And give them a wallet and they'll get it instantly. So we built a wallet. It has built within it a referral program. So Simon, when you sign up, you'll be signing up into my personal network. And when you sign up your friends and family, not only will you get tokens, but I get tokens. So we're building a viral rewards-based community. And that's really powerful for kids with autism or for people with Parkinson's, because they can build a passive income just from building community. And I say just from building community. Community is the most important thing of all. So we started by building this community mechanism. So ReMeLife.com is a community, and all that's done. It's live. You can join. You can get your wallet. And I mean, there's one kid in the East End of London who was discovered by, we did a focus group with 15 kids with autism who came through the Department of Education, who were on a trainee scheme to get into jobs, which they would have expected to be shelf stacking or, whatever. We taught them how to build a 500 plus LinkedIn profile, how to speak on a forum, which for them, many of them was difficult. And of course, about crypto and blockchain, and they loved it. They're all gamers. One of them said to me at one point, "Can I invite my friend to join?" I said, "Sure, why not?" "Well, she's got an Instagram community." Awesome. "Sure, how many she got?" "She got 67,000 followers." 67,000 followers. They will all sign up into his network. We monetize that network for him. And if you do the maths on it, he has the potential of not having to worry about universal credit ever again. Let's put it that way. And why would an 18-year-old girl be interested in bringing her, I think it's lingerie, community in? Well, she cares for her grandfather with dementia. Yeah. And that's what a lot of people do. So to answer your question, back to it, we've completed phase 1, so we're real. It works. We've proven that it's of value to the community. We can generate passive income for our audience, but most importantly, we can give them a sense of self-worth, improve their well-being, assist them better engage with the community, but through that thing that has made Zuckerberg rich, which is rewards. Because we're all, the human species is rewards driven, whether we like it or not. So yeah, we're in a very good place. But the next stage is to raise the money that enables us to complete the build of the blockchain. And that's where this strange, furry little creature comes into play.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I suppose, like, in some of the research I was doing sort of over the last few days, am I right in saying, and certainly with conversations with yourself, are you guys looking to do a rebrand aspect to this? And why is that? Because obviously, like, it's probably a good time to do it in the sense that you've got a bit of an impact there. People are starting to get more aware of it. What's the purpose of the rebrand for you, and how does that look like in your mind?
It's not a rebrand. I mean, Bluey certainly feels like he's taking over because he's getting a lot of response. So I don't know, maybe he'll do a management buyout. Who knows? I don't know what'll happen. But no, ReMeLife is the brand. We have different apps that have their own brands. There's Remi Market, which is the Amazon. There's Rooms, which is the equivalent for Zoom, that doesn't just take your data. It gives you a chance to sell your data. You keep it and you sell it. And we're partnered with some big companies to undertake that process. So each of our apps has a brand. And of course, they're not just our apps. We have other companies that have their own apps that will come into our ecosystem and that will use our native token and will sit on the blockchain. And the bigger companies will take nodes and participate in the same way. So you're right, there are a multiplicity of brands, and certainly in the DeFi stack that we've designed but not yet built, there are numerous brands that will be in there. But no, the overarching brand is ReMeLife. ReMeLife means reminiscence. Remi is for reminiscence, memory, and because that's the way we all build community, by telling stories. I love that. It's all about storytelling, like the life of stories.
That's awesome. Well, Simon, I think that's very much wrapped up all the various topics we want to run through. Obviously, for our audience, in the description below will be all the details in regards to links and the social platforms that ReMeLife are operating on. Is there anything, Simon, that you want to leave our audience with to sign off on this awesome conversation? It's been absolutely fantastic. I love this area of focus that you're into. So is there anything that you want to leave behind?
It's a very interesting question. I should have thought of an answer before, but I think it's bottom line. What we're trying to do in care is bring fun into it. Care is always perceived to be somewhat sad, someone lonely, something you do when you have to. But I spent 10 years in care homes, and I've been amazed how much fun those involved have. So we want to bring fun to another level, whether it's through NFTs, metaverse entry, a cat that's going to, create a bit of chaos. So, the bottom line is come and join us, come and have some fun. And don't be scared of care, because care is fun and more than you think. And also let's go and bite a few tails. There you go.
Oh, it's been a pleasure, Simon, and it's great to meet Bluey as well. Thank you so much for your time, and I'm really looking forward to obviously catching up with you in the very near future. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Cheers, Simon.
Awesome.